The first sign of trouble came from a weather station in Antarctica. Dr. Paul Chen was reviewing ice core data when his instruments detected something impossible: massive gravitational disturbances coming from empty space. The readings made no sense until he realized they weren't coming from his planet at all. 200 alien warships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, their dark hulls gleaming with energy shields and weapon arrays. The Kethmore Empire had arrived, and they brought death with them. War Commander Veltar stood in his flagship's command chamber, studying the primitive world that would soon bow before his might. His species had conquered 47 civilizations using the same simple method: overwhelming force combined with a generous surrender offer. Most species chose life over pointless resistance. The blue-green planet spinning lazily in the void looked peaceful enough. Early scans showed a young civilization, barely beginning to explore their own solar system. They had a few colonies on nearby worlds, some mining operations, nothing that suggested military sophistication. This would be another easy conquest. Veltar activated the universal translator and began recording his standard ultimatum. The message had worked on every world the Kethmore had ever encountered. Fear was universal, after all. Meanwhile, deep beneath the Colorado mountains, Admiral Rebecca Stone received the alert she had trained for her entire career. The screens in the North American Defense Command showed red dots appearing throughout. The solar system. Lots of red dots. How many? She asked her communications officer, Lieutenant Amy Foster. 200 confirmed contacts, Admiral. They're big ones. Stone nodded calmly. Humanity had spent 70 years preparing for this day. Ever since radio telescopes first detected evidence of intelligent life among the stars. Every military doctrine, every technological development, every strategic plan had been built around one simple assumption: someday, someone would come calling with bad intentions. The alien transmission arrived 30 minutes later. Veltar's voice echoed through every communication system on Earth, translated into dozens of human languages. Primitive species of the third planet, you have been selected for incorporation into the Kethmore Empire. Your technology is crude, your military insignificant, your resistance futile. You have 48 standard cycles to surrender unconditionally. Comply, and your species will serve as workers in our great empire. Refuse, and your world will be cleansed of life. This offer will not be repeated. The transmission ended with coordinates for Earth's leaders to broadcast their surrender. In command centers across the globe, military officers waited for their orders. Some expected panic, others prepared for desperate last stands. What they got instead was Admiral Stone's calm voice on the emergency frequency. This is Admiral Stone to all Earth Defense Forces. The aliens have just made their first mistake. They gave us a deadline. She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. Broadcast response on all frequencies. Use the same coordinates they provided. Stone looked directly into the camera, her expression steady and confident. Unknown alien fleet, this is Admiral Rebecca Stone of the United Earth Defense Force. We've received your offer and would like to present our counter-proposal. You have 48 hours to leave our solar system. If you're still here when the deadline expires, we'll show you why no species has ever successfully occupied a human world. The transmission ended. Aboard his flagship, War Commander Veltar stared at the communication screen in bewilderment. In 300 years of conquest, no species had ever responded to the Kethmore ultimatum with a counteroffer. Most surrendered immediately. The few that chose to fight usually did so with desperate last words about honor and freedom. This was something new. Analysis, Veltar commanded his tactical officer. The response appears to be genuine, War Commander. Linguistic patterns suggest confidence rather than bravado. They seem to actually believe they can resist us. Veltar's primary eyes narrowed. Perhaps these humans were simply too primitive to understand the magnitude of their situation. A demonstration would correct that misconception quickly enough. Prepare to enter the inner system. We'll start with their outer colonies. Show them what Kethmore power looks like when unleashed. But as the alien fleet began its approach, humanity was already moving. On Mars, agricultural domes suddenly sprouted weapon emplacements that had been hidden for decades. In the asteroid belt, mining ships changed course and headed toward Earth, their cargo holds filled with something much deadlier than refined ore. Most telling of all, the seemingly defenseless civilian traffic throughout. The solar system began moving with military precision. Freight haulers adjusted their routes. Passenger liners changed destinations, and research vessels started broadcasting on encrypted frequencies. Lieutenant Foster looked up from her communication console with a puzzled expression. "Admiral, we're receiving status reports from vessels that aren't supposed to exist." Stone allowed herself a small smile. "List them." The Deep Space Monitoring Stations report ready for combat operations. The Mars Agricultural Authority confirms defensive positions are manned. And there's something called the Belt Mining Consortium, requesting permission to begin tactical operations. "Grant all requests," Stone replied. "And Foster, welcome to the real human Space Force." The truth was simple enough. Humanity had never built a separate military and civilian space infrastructure. Every ship, every station, every seemingly peaceful installation had been designed from the ground up with warfare in mind. The species that had conquered Earth through 10,000 years of constant conflict had not become peaceful when they reached for the stars. They had simply become more subtle about how they prepared for the next war. War Commander Veltar would learn this lesson soon enough. The humans had accepted his deadline, but not in the way he expected. They weren't planning to surrender in 48 hours. They were planning to win. As the Kethmore fleet crossed the orbit of Neptune, automated sensors throughout the solar system began tracking their movement. Data flowed to command centers on Earth, Mars, and hidden military installations that officially didn't exist. Weapon systems came online, tactical computers calculated firing solutions, and human crews prepared to defend their home with the methodical efficiency of a species that had never learned to accept defeat. The invasion of Earth was about to begin. The aliens had no idea what they were really about to face. The garbage scow Lucky Strike looked like exactly what it claimed to be, a beat-up waste hauler with mismatched hull plates and a crew that probably cut corners on maintenance. The Kethmore scanners dismissed it as irrelevant, just another piece of human space junk drifting through the outer system. They made their second mistake. Inside the scow's disguised bridge, Captain David Reaper Williams watched the alien fleet, approach through sensors that were far more sophisticated than they appeared. The Lucky Strike wasn't carrying garbage. Its cargo hold contained 6 modified mining charges, each one powerful enough to crack an asteroid in half. "Range?" Williams asked his pilot, Sergeant Rita Santos. 15,000 kilometers in closing. They're not even trying to scan us properly." Williams grinned. The aliens had clearly never fought humans before. Any species that had survived, Earth's history of warfare knew the first rule of combat. Never assume anything as what it appears to be. All ships, this is Reaper. Begin approach pattern Delta. Remember, we're still playing dead until they get close enough to shake hands with. Throughout the outer system, 43 vessels that looked like civilian traffic began subtle course corrections. Freight haulers, passenger liners, scientific research ships, and industrial platforms, all of them moving with purpose that their external appearances completely concealed. The Kethmore had expected to face Earth's military. They were about to discover that every human ship was Earth's military. War Commander Veltar studied the tactical display with growing confusion. His fleet had encountered scattered civilian traffic, but nothing resembling organized defense. Where were the warships? Where were the weapon platforms? Intelligence suggested these humans had at least some military capability. "War Commander," his sensor operator reported, "we're detecting no significant military presence in the outer system. Should we proceed directly to the third planet?" Veltar considered this. Perhaps the humans were planning some sort of last stand around their homeworld. It was a common tactic among primitive species. Gather all forces for one final, hopeless battle. Maintain current formation. Begin targeting their industrial infrastructure. We'll destroy their capability to support resistance before we reach their planet. The first Kethmore strike group peeled off from the main fleet, heading toward a cluster of mining operations near Jupiter. 12 alien warships, each one carrying enough firepower to level a city, approached what appeared to be defenseless civilian targets. The Lucky Strike was among those targets. Williams watched the attack. Group closed the final distance. His crew had been handpicked from veterans of the Mars colonial wars, people who understood that real combat was nothing like the movies. It was about patience, preparation, and making the other side pay for every mistake they made. Now? Santos asked, her finger hovering over the weapon's release. Not yet. Let them get comfortable. The lead Kethmore vessel was close enough now that Williams could see details on its hull. Gun ports, shield generators, sensor arrays, everything exactly where human intelligence said it would be. Years of preparation were about to pay off. All. Ships, weapons free. Show them what human engineering looks like. The transformation was instantaneous. Hull plates fell away from the Lucky Strike, revealing massive cargo launchers that had been hidden beneath fake external compartments. Around Jupiter's orbit, 42 other civilian vessels shed their disguises and revealed their true nature. The mining charges launched from Williams's ship weren't designed for use against enemy vessels. They were designed to crack apart solid rock. A Kethmore warship, for all its advanced technology, was considerably less durable than an asteroid. The first mining charge punched through the aliens' shields like they weren't there. The second charge detonated inside the vessel's main reactor compartment. The explosion was visible from Earth. All around Jupiter's space, similar scenes played out as humanity's disguised fleet engaged the aliens at point-blank range. The Kethmore had approached expecting to destroy helpless civilians. Instead, they found themselves in a close-range gun battle with an enemy that had been preparing for exactly this scenario. War Commander Veltar watched in shock as his strike group disappeared from the tactical display. 12 ships gone in. Less than 5 minutes. The humans hadn't outfought them with superior technology. They had outthought them with superior tactics. Analysis! He barked at his tactical staff. The civilian vessels were disguised military units, War Commander. They allowed our forces to close to minimum range before revealing weapons that appear to be modified industrial equipment. Veltar's crest bristled with anger. These humans fought without honor, using deception and trickery instead of meeting. Their enemies in open battle. What kind of species built their entire civilization around such tactics? The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Emma Cross had been monitoring alien communications from her station in Earth's Global Defense Command. As a xenopsychologist, her job was to understand how alien minds worked. The Kethmore, it turned out, were remarkably easy to understand. Admiral Stone, she reported, I'm detecting significant confusion in their command communications. They're using tactical doctrines based on rigid hierarchical control structures. They literally cannot adapt fast enough to counter innovative tactics. Stone studied the data streaming in from the Jupiter engagement. What's their response time to tactical changes? Based on communication patterns, approximately 17 minutes from observation to implementation. They have to pass information, up their chain of command, get authorization for new tactics, then pass orders back down. And our response time? Cross smiled. Individual ship commanders are making tactical decisions in real time. Average response time is under 30 seconds. Stone nodded grimly. The aliens had superior technology and overwhelming numbers, but they were fighting like a traditional military force. Humanity was fighting like humanity, with every individual unit capable of independent thought and creative problem-solving. The second wave of Kethmore attacks targeted the asteroid mining fleet, expecting easier prey among the industrial ships, working the belt. They found instead Commander Torres and the Mobile Mining Battalion, 500 vessels that had been disguised as commercial operations for 30 years. The aliens learned that ships designed to move asteroids could also throw them at relativistic speeds. The third attack wave tried to isolate and destroy individual human ships, picking them off one by one. They discovered that humanity's communication networks allowed every ship to coordinate with every other ship in real time, creating tactical situations that changed faster than Kethmore Command could process. By the end of the first 6 hours, War Commander Veltar had lost 30 ships and gained a healthy respect for human tactical creativity. But he had also learned something important. These humans were not invincible. They could be hurt, and their ships could be destroyed. The problem was, every time he destroyed a human vessel, the remaining humans seemed to learn something new about Kethmore tactics. They were treating this battle like a learning experience, constantly adapting and improving their techniques. Veltar made his third mistake. He decided to show the humans the true power of the Kethmore Empire. He called up his elite forces. Deep inside Olympus Mons on Mars, General Rosa Martinez walked through corridors that didn't exist on any official blueprints. The Red Planet's first colonial settlement had been sold to the galaxy as humanity's peaceful expansion into space. Agricultural domes, research facilities, and mining operations spread across the Martian surface like a growing garden. All of it was a lie. Martinez stopped at a massive blast door marked with warnings in 17 languages. Beyond that door lay Project Ares, 30 years of human military engineering hidden beneath the facade of peaceful farming. "Status report," she said to Colonel James Park, the facility's commanding officer. "All defensive systems are online, General. We've got 300 ships ready to launch from concealed hangars, plus the planetary defense grid. The aliens have no idea what they're flying into." Martinez nodded. Mars had never been a farming colony. It had been designed from the ground up as humanity's first military fortress in space, disguised so well that even most humans believed the agricultural cover story. "Sir," Park continued, "we're receiving reports from Earth Command. The enemy is bringing up their heavy units." Through the facility's hidden sensors, Martinez watched the Kethmore elite fleet approach. These weren't the standard warships humanity had been fighting. These were planet crackers, massive vessels designed to break entire worlds that resisted too long. "Time to drop the mask," Martinez said quietly. Across the Martian surface, agricultural domes began to split open like flowers blooming in reverse. Weapon emplacements rose from hidden bunkers, their targeting systems locking onto the approaching alien fleet. What the galaxy had believed to be humanity's first peaceful colony revealed itself as the most heavily fortified position in the solar system. War Commander Veltar studied the tactical display with growing frustration. The humans continued to fight in ways that made no tactical sense. Instead of massing their forces for a decisive battle, they scattered across the system and struck from unexpected directions. Instead of following military doctrine, they improvised constantly. His elite forces would end this madness. "Deploy the planet crackers," he ordered. "Target their outer colonies first. When they see their settlements burning, they'll understand the futility of resistance." The first planet cracker, a vessel 3 kilometers long and armed with weapons that could shatter continents, approached the Martian system. Its commander, Fleet Leader Thekvar, had broken 17 worlds that had dared to resist the Kethmore Empire. He was about to meet his 18th. Dr. Alan Foster had spent his entire career waiting for this moment. As head of Project Prometheus, he had been tasked with developing weapons that could stop anything the galaxy might send against Earth. The challenge wasn't building bigger guns, it was building smarter ones. "Prometheus control to all stations," he broadcast from his hidden command center in the Swiss Alps. "We have confirmed deployment of enemy strategic assets, beginning full-spectrum defensive operations. Around Earth's orbit, objects that had masqueraded as communications satellites began to unfold. Solar panels retracted, revealing weapon systems that had been disguised as scientific instruments. Space telescopes reoriented themselves, their sophisticated optics now serving as targeting sensors for weapons that officially didn't exist. The Kethmore planet cracker approaching Earth detected the change immediately. What had appeared to be a primitive orbital infrastructure was transforming into an integrated defense network of staggering complexity. Fleet leader Thekvar was experienced enough to recognize a trap when he saw one. The humans had been planning this battle for decades, possibly longer. Every satellite, every space station, every piece of orbital debris had been positioned with military precision. He was looking at the most elaborate defensive preparation in galactic history. All units implement Formation Crusher 7 will overwhelm their defensive grid with concentrated firepower. But the human orbital defenses didn't behave like any defensive grid Thekvar had ever encountered. Instead of static positions that could be overwhelmed, the satellites moved in coordinated swarms, creating overlapping fields of fire that shifted and adapted in real time. Chief Engineer Bob Thompson was having the time of his life. From his position aboard the International Space Station, he watched his masterpiece unfold. The ISS had been scheduled for decommission 20 years ago, but Thompson had convinced his superiors that the old station could serve one final purpose. Now, attached to salvaged Kethmore engines captured during the initial skirmishes, the ISS was accelerating toward the alien planet cracker at a significant percentage of light speed. Prometheus Control, this is ISS Command. We have achieved optimal trajectory. Recommend all personnel maintain safe distance. Thompson grinned as he watched the alien vessel grow larger in his view screen. The Kethmore thought in terms of overwhelming firepower and massive fleet actions. Humans thought in terms of physics and creative engineering. A space station moving at relativistic speed had more kinetic energy than most nuclear weapons. The aliens were about to learn that lesson the hard way. The planet cracker's shields were designed to stop energy weapons and missile attacks. They weren't designed to stop several thousand tons of space station traveling at 30% of light speed. The impact was spectacular. War Commander Veltar watched his most powerful vessel disappear in a flash of released energy. The humans had just destroyed a planet cracker using what appeared to be a retrofitted space station. It was tactically impossible, strategically insane, and completely effective. War Commander, his communication officer reported, "We're receiving a transmission from the human homeworld." Admiral Stone's face appeared on the main screen, her expression calm and professional. "Kethmore Fleet, this is Admiral Stone. We wanted to thank you for the engineering samples. Your engine technology is quite impressive. We've already begun production of improved versions." The screen split to show images from across the solar system. Human vessels were being retrofitted with captured Kethmore technology in real time. Industrial facilities that had claimed to manufacture civilian goods were revealed as military production centers, turning out weapons and defensive systems at an impossible rate. "As of this moment," Stone continued, "you have 18 hours remaining on our original deadline. We strongly encourage you to reconsider your position." The transmission ended. In the Martian system, General Martinez was implementing the next phase of humanity's defensive strategy. Mars hadn't just been disguised as an agricultural colony. It had been positioned as a strategic fortress controlling the inner solar system's shipping lanes. Now, with the alien fleet committed to attacking Earth, Martinez launched the Mars Defense Corps from concealed positions all around the Red Planet. 300 ships that shouldn't have existed struck the Kethmore rear guard with weapons that should have been impossible for a species that had only recently achieved spaceflight. The truth was becoming clear to War Commander Veltar. Humanity hadn't been caught off guard by this invasion. They had been preparing for it longer than the Kethmore Empire had existed. Every aspect of human space development had been planned, around the assumption that someday someone would try to conquer Earth. And those someones would discover that humans had been thinking about this problem for a very long time. With 24 hours elapsed on the original 48-hour deadline, humanity had lost 12% of its defensive fleet, while the Kethmore had lost 45% of their invasion force. More importantly, human tactics were evolving faster than alien countermeasures could adapt. The war for Earth was reaching its critical phase. The kindergarten class in downtown Tokyo was practicing their evacuation drill when the sirens began. Mrs. Yuki Tanaka calmly guided her 26 students to the reinforced shelter beneath their school, just as she had been trained to do. What she didn't mention to the children was that the shelter was actually a hardened combat bunker, and the evacuation drill was a military operation. Every human settlement had been built this way. Every school, every hospital, every apartment building contained hidden defensive positions that could be activated within minutes. The Kethmore were about to learn that attacking human civilians was the worst tactical mistake any species could. Make War Commander Veltar had made his decision with cold military logic. Traditional fleet actions weren't working against these humans and their unpredictable tactics. But every species had a breaking point, and civilian casualties were usually the key to finding it. Target their population centers, he ordered. Start with their major cities. When they see their young ones burning, their will to fight will crumble. It was a strategy that had worked on 47 different worlds. The 48th world was about to teach the Kethmore why it was a mistake. The first orbital bombardment struck New York City at exactly 3:47 p.m. local time. The Kethmore weapons were designed to level entire city blocks, creating maximum terror with minimum effort. What they hit instead were deflector shields that had been hidden beneath Central Park for 30 years. Similar scenes played out across the globe. London, Tokyo, Mumbai, Cairo, São Paulo. Every major population center revealed defensive systems that shouldn't have existed. Humanity's cities hadn't just grown organically over centuries of development. They had been redesigned from the ground up as fortress complexes disguised as civilian areas. Commander Lisa Park sat in a control room that officially didn't exist, buried 500 meters beneath what tourists knew as the Smithsonian Museum. Around her, dozens of technicians monitored the Global Defense Net, a system that connected every electronic device on Earth into a single distributed weapons platform. Status report, Park requested. All primary nodes are online, Commander. We have integration with 47 million civilian devices, plus full military networks. The entire planet is now a single coordinated defense system. Park nodded grimly. Project Unity had been humanity's most classified military program, designed around a simple principle. If aliens ever attacked Earth, every human technology would become a weapon. Traffic cameras became targeting sensors, cell phone towers became communication relays, and power grids became energy distribution systems for weapons that had been hidden in plain sight for decades. Activate civilian mobilization protocols, Park ordered. It's time to show them what 8 billion humans look like when they're all working together. Across the planet, the transformation was startling. The Kethmore orbital sensors detected massive changes in human infrastructure within minutes of their attack on civilian targets. Roads reconfigured themselves into defensive patterns. Buildings revealed hidden weapon emplacements, and what had appeared to be peaceful civilian areas transformed into military installations. But the most disturbing change was in the humans themselves. In Tokyo, Mrs. Tanaka finished securing her students in the bunker and then walked calmly to the equipment locker that contained her military gear. Like every adult human, she was a trained reservist with combat experience from the Mars colonial wars. Like every human settlement, her city was prepared for exactly this scenario. All units, this is Tokyo Defense Command, she spoke into her headset. Civilian evacuation is complete, beginning active defense operations. Across the city, similar conversations were taking place. Teachers became tactical coordinators, doctors became combat medics, and shopkeepers became weapon technicians. The Kethmore had just activated every human survival instinct simultaneously. and 8 billion humans were responding with the coordinated efficiency of a species that had never learned to accept defeat. War Commander Veltar watched the transformation with growing horror. The human population centers weren't collapsing under his bombardment. They were becoming more militarized. Every civilian area his forces targeted revealed itself to be a disguised military position, and every attack only made the human response more coordinated. This was impossible. No species could maintain military readiness across their entire population. The logistics alone would cripple any civilization, unless that civilization had been designed specifically for warfare from the very beginning. The realization struck Veltar like a physical blow. These humans hadn't developed their technology for exploration or trade or scientific advancement. They had developed everything for war. Their entire civilization was a military machine disguised as a peaceful society. "War Commander," his tactical officer reported, "we're detecting a massive increase in human combat capability. Their response coordination has improved by 800% since we began targeting civilians." Before Veltar could respond, his communication system activated. Admiral Stone's face appeared on the screen, but her expression had changed. The calm professionalism was gone, replaced by something much more dangerous. "Kethmore Fleet," she said quietly, "you just made your final mistake. By targeting human civilians, you have activated our species' survival protocols. Every human being is now committed to your complete destruction." The screen changed to show tactical displays from across Earth. Cities were revealing weapon systems that rivaled anything in the Kethmore arsenal. Industrial centers were producing military equipment at rates that should have been impossible. Most disturbing of all, the humans were working with perfect coordination, as if 8 billion individuals had become a single organism focused on warfare. "You have 12 hours remaining on our deadline," Stone continued. "We suggest you use that time to consider whether your empire is prepared for what humanity looks like when we decide to stop being polite." The transmission ended. Deep in space, Captain Mike "Ghost" Rodriguez was leading the most audacious mission in human military history. His boarding team had launched from a disguised freighter and was approaching a Kethmore command vessel using stealth technology that officially didn't exist. "Remember," Rodriguez told his team, "we're not here to capture their ship. We're here to capture their entire tactical network." The boarding action was swift and professional. Rodriguez's team had trained for ship-to-ship combat in the zero-gravity environments that surrounded Earth. They moved through the alien vessel like water flowing downhill, neutralizing resistance with efficiency that spoke of endless preparation. But the real breakthrough came when they reached the ship's computer core. Sergeant Anna Kim was humanity's leading expert on alien information systems, despite the fact that she had never seen alien technology until 18 hours ago. Her specialty was adaptive computing, and she attacked the Kethmore networks with software that learned and evolved in real time. "Got it," she announced after 47 minutes of work. "I'm in their tactical network, beginning viral deployment." The software Kim released wasn't designed to destroy alien systems. It was designed to turn them against each other, creating conflicts and contradictions in Kethmore communications that would spread throughout their fleet like a disease. Within an hour, Kethmore ships were receiving contradictory orders, false tactical information, and communication failures that cascaded through their rigid command structure. The humans hadn't just boarded an enemy vessel. They had turned the aliens' own technology into a weapon against them. Admiral Stone stood in the command center deep beneath the Colorado mountains, watching tactical displays that showed the true scope of humanity's preparation for this moment. Every defensive system, every hidden weapon, every disguised military installation was now active and coordinated. With 6 hours remaining on the original deadline, she was ready to reveal humanity's final card. "Activate Luna Command," she ordered. "Begin charging the mass driver." Above Earth, the moon had been humanity's most ambitious military project. What appeared to be a barren satellite was actually a weapon platform capable of launching projectiles at near-light speed. Any target in the solar system could be destroyed with pinpoint accuracy. The Kethmore were about to discover that humans didn't build defensive systems. They built weapons and then disguised them as everything else. In the depths of space, War Commander Veltar faced the most devastating military defeat in Kethmore history. His invasion fleet, once 200 strong, had been reduced to 46 functional vessels. The humans, meanwhile, had somehow grown, stronger during the battle, their forces expanding as they salvaged alien technology and converted it to their own purposes. Veltar stared at the tactical display with the growing realization that he had fundamentally misunderstood what he was. Fighting. These humans weren't defending their world. They were hunting his fleet. The final lesson began when human forces stopped playing defense entirely. Commander Sarah Mitchell had spent the last 2 hours converting a captured Kethmore destroyer into a human warship. Her engineering teams worked. With the methodical efficiency of people who had planned for exactly this scenario, stripping out alien systems and installing human replacements with stunning speed. "Status report," she requested from Chief Engineer Tom Wilson. "We've got their engines integrated with our control systems, ma'am. Weapons are online using human targeting computers. We're basically flying a Kethmore ship with a human brain." Mitchell nodded. This was the 43rd alien vessel her task force had captured and converted in the last 12 hours. The Kethmore built their ships to be operated by their rigid hierarchical crews. Humans had no such limitations. Any human crew could learn to operate any technology, given enough time and motivation. All converted vessels. This is Mitchell. Begin hunting pattern, Charlie. Show them what their own ships can do when operated by people who aren't afraid to think. Across the solar system, captured alien vessels began hunting their former fleetmates with tactics that no Kethmore commander could predict or counter. Humanity had turned the invasion fleet against itself. War Commander Veltar received the communication he had been dreading. "War Commander," his communication officer announced, "we have an incoming transmission from the human admiral." "Admiral." Stone's face appeared on the screen, but she was no longer speaking from Earth. The background showed the bridge of a Kethmore heavy cruiser operated by human crew members who looked perfectly comfortable with alien technology. "War Commander Veltar," Stone said calmly, "we need to discuss terms." Veltar's crest flattened against his skull. The human admiral was aboard one of his own ships, captured and converted by an enemy that treated advanced alien technology like used equipment to be repurposed. "What terms?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. "Unconditional surrender of your remaining forces," Stone replied. "Your crews will be treated as prisoners of war according to human military conventions. Your vessels will be incorporated into Earth's defense fleet." Stone paused, studying Veltar through the communication link. "Alternatively, you can continue fighting and discover what 8 billion humans look like when we decide to take our conflict to your home system." The threat hung in the space between them like a weapon waiting to be fired. "You cannot reach our territory," Veltar protested. "Your species has barely achieved interstellar flight." Stone smiled, and the expression was more terrifying than any weapon Veltar had ever faced. "War Commander, we've had your navigation databases for 6 hours. We know the location of every Kethmore world, every fleet base, every strategic resource. More importantly, we understand your tactical doctrines better than you do." The screen split to show a tactical analysis that made Veltar's blood run cold. The humans had dissected Kethmore military strategy with surgical precision, identifying weaknesses that the Empire's own tacticians had never considered. "Your Empire conquers species that think like you do," Stone continued. "Rigid hierarchies, predictable tactics, military doctrine that hasn't changed in 300 years. You've never fought an enemy that adapts faster than you can respond." Stone's expression grew more serious. "We have 18 minutes remaining on our original deadline. We will spend that time completing our evaluation of your species' threat potential." The transmission ended. In those final 18 minutes, humanity demonstrated why they were the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever produced. They didn't just defeat the Kethmore invasion fleet. They systematically dismantled it, capturing every vessel and crew member with precision that spoke of overwhelming military superiority. The last Kethmore resistance ended when the flagship itself was boarded by human forces who moved through its corridors like they owned the vessel. War Commander Veltar surrendered when he realized his own command staff was following orders from human officers who had learned Kethmore military protocols in real time. Admiral Stone stood in the conquered alien flagship, surrounded by technology. That would advance human military capability by decades, but that wasn't the most important prize they had won. "Analysis complete," she announced to her tactical staff. "We now have comprehensive data on 47 species conquered by the Kethmore Empire, including their current military capabilities, territorial locations, and tactical doctrines." Lieutenant Foster looked up from her communication station. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender transmissions from all remaining Kethmore vessels. What are your orders?" Stone walked to the massive view screen that showed Earth hanging in space like a blue jewel. Her home world looked peaceful enough, but she knew that beneath that serene appearance lay the most militarized civilization in galactic history. "Accept their surrender," she said quietly. "Treat their crews according to human military law. But before we release them..." Stone turned to face War Commander Veltar, who stood under guard near the navigation station. The alien commander looked broken, his proud bearing replaced by the hollow expression of someone who had discovered that everything he believed about warfare was wrong. "Commander Veltar," Stone said formally, "you wanted to evaluate humanity in 48 hours. We completed that evaluation on schedule. Now we're going to give you some information to take back to your empire." Stone activated the ship's communication system and began recording a message that would change the balance of power in the galaxy. "To the Kethmore Empire and any other species monitoring this transmission, this is Admiral Rebecca Stone of the United Earth Defense Force. Your invasion fleet arrived at our system 48 hours ago with 200 ships and demands for our surrender. You are now surrendering to us with 46 ships, all of which are under human control." The recording continued as Stone outlined exactly how humanity had achieved victory against a technologically superior force. "Your tactical mistake was assuming that humans fight like other species. We don't. We fight like humans, and that means we fight to win. Not to survive, not to gain honor, not to prove our courage. We fight to win, and we consider anything less than total victory to be unacceptable failure." Stone paused, letting her words sink in before delivering the message that would echo through every alien command center in the galaxy. "Earth is not a world to be conquered. It is a world that conquers back. Any species that threatens human civilization will discover that we have spent our entire history preparing for exactly that mistake. We don't just defend our territory. We study our enemies, adapt their technology, and improve on everything they thought they knew about warfare." The recording showed captured Kethmore vessels now operating under human command, their crews replaced by humans who had learned alien technology in a matter of hours. "We are releasing your surviving forces with this message for your leadership. Earth requests membership in whatever galactic community exists, not as a protected species, but as a recognized military power. We have included with this message a comprehensive tactical analysis of how to defeat every hostile species in your databases." Stone's expression grew colder. "We thought you should know that information exists, in case any of those species. We're planning to follow your example." The recording ended with images of human shipyards already producing improved versions of Kethmore technology and human fleets preparing for operations beyond the solar system. War Commander Veltar watched the recording with the growing realization that his species had made a catastrophic mistake. They hadn't just failed to conquer humanity. They had introduced humanity to galactic civilization as a military threat that every other species would have to consider. "You're going to let us leave?" he asked Stone. "War Commander, we need you to deliver a message to your empire. Tell them that Earth evaluated the Kethmore military in 48 hours and found it inadequate for our defensive requirements." Stone gestured toward the view screen showing human vessels throughout the solar system, many of them converted alien ships now operating with human crews. "Tell your leadership that we have incorporated your fleet into our own, and we are currently reverse engineering every piece of technology your empire provided us. In 6 months, human military capability will exceed anything your species has ever developed." Veltar's crest trembled as he understood the full implications. "You're going to attack our territory. Only if your empire makes that necessary," Stone replied. "We're not conquerors, War Commander. We're defenders, but we defend aggressively, and we prefer to solve problems permanently." Stone activated the communication system one final time. "War Commander, humanity doesn't just learn from its own mistakes. We learn from everyone else's mistakes, too. Your empire's mistake was believing that military superiority comes from technology and numbers. Human military superiority comes from the simple fact that we never stop thinking about how to win." The final transmission to the Kethmore Empire was brief and devastating. "This is Admiral Stone to Kethmore Command. Your invasion fleet has been defeated and incorporated into Earth's defense forces. Your war commander and surviving crew are being released with our terms for future interaction between our species. We recommend you accept those terms." Stone paused, her expression reflecting the cold calculation of a species that had never learned to accept defeat. "Earth's evaluation period is complete. We found your military capabilities insufficient to threaten human civilization. We suggest you update your databases accordingly." The transmission ended with coordinates for diplomatic contact and a detailed analysis of Kethmore tactical weaknesses that would ensure no other human world would ever face the same threat. War Commander Veltar departed the solar system 12 hours later aboard one of the few ships humanity had returned to his forces. His cargo hold contained a complete record of how humans had defeated what was supposed to be an unstoppable invasion fleet. Behind him, Earth continued its preparations for a galaxy that had just learned why humanity was the most dangerous species it had ever encountered. The species that had conquered their own world through 10,000 years of warfare had finally been introduced to galactic civilization. The galaxy was not prepared for what came next.